Hi guys, welcome back to Something Newsy. My name is Caitlin Kopensky. I am the head editor in chief of the Mesa Press, and I'm here with.
My name is Kyle Asen, and I'm a staff writer.
And my name is Walker Armstrong. I'm the news editor.
So, thank you all for listening today. So, today's topic, we're going to be talking about the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions as more and more people are getting vaccinated. More things are opening up. So, I work a part-time job at Mesa, obviously, and I get students asking me all the time, is Mesa going to be back on campus in the fall? And every time they ask me, I'm not sure because, they haven't really can't come out with a set plan. But because everything is like restrictions are lifting so quickly, it's kind of forcing everyone to shift back into normal gear. So obviously, more people are anticipating like coming back to work, coming back to school, going to music festivals, eating outside, the whole deal. So, is everyone vaccinated? Walker, Kyle, are you guys vaccinated?
For
Yeah,
me,
I've
I
been.
plan to be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Walker.
I was just saying that I've been vaccinated.
I plan on being vaccinated before getting back on campus. So not yet.
Gotcha. So, is there like a reason you're comfortable like sharing about why you haven't been vaccinated yet?
It's just that it just for me, I just haven't been like I haven't decided on just being vaccinated yet, just because I haven't been mostly outside. So the things that I do is I haven't been outside most of the time, so I feel like just being outside, you have to be vaccinated just because to have that safety. But I guess just maybe not being outside, you don't really have to be immediately vaccinated. Just a thought, I guess.
Yeah, I
So,
get that. Like if you're not like planning on like going out to eat, I guess, or like doing
mhm,
stuff,
yeah.
personally, if you wouldn't want to be vaccinated, like I guess that would make sense. Are you guys like comfortable with everything like being like restrictions being let up? Like I know that the CDC came out a few weeks ago saying that like if you're outside, you don't have to wear a mask anymore if you're vaccinated. And I'm not sure like if I'm gonna do that. Like I don't know. Like I don't know how to feel with all this. What Walker, what do you think?
I mean, it's just been one of those things that, like, I've been wearing masks outside when I was not vaccinated. I've seen plenty of people do that, and I think it's just kind of one of those things that has to be up to your own discretion, who you're around, the environment you're in, the people that you're going to be around, and I don't know if that's one of those things that people aren't able to measure themselves very well. And I think that that's where, sort of policy and more sort of legislative restrictions come into play as being, you know, smart choices that we need to make as a society. But as far as if people are vaccinated and not wearing masks outside, like, I'm looking out my window, I see people walking along this trail outside. They're not wearing masks and, they're in their 60s or so, just judging by the look of them. I think that's just up to their own discretion. You know what I mean? I still wear masks outside. Like I go up to LA a lot, and if I'm around a crowded place, I wear a mask outside. And then, the also ironic other side of this coin is that I've also, been dining outside where we sit down, we're wearing masks, and then when our food comes, we take the mask off. And it's one of those things that's like kind of makes you just think about it a little bit. What is the point of that? If we're having these lifted restrictions, like I just got a news alert from the LA Times that says, you know, Orange County is being pushed into the yellow tier more and more, and we're going about to see a lot of, a wider range of reopenings up in Orange County, and that's been one of the biggest, hotbeds of, anti-mask and anti-vaxxing activity in Southern California, at least as far as I know, and that could be, an issue where we see a lot of wide reopenings up there. There's a lot of anti-masks and anti-vaxxers, but down here and more in LA and across the country where we're seeing more and more people getting vaccinated, it could just be a good thing, as far as having things seem to get back to normal. And, so as far as that goes, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like in the same boat. Like I'm personally vaccinated, so like when I go outside for a run, I'm not going to keep my mask on while I'm running just because like I know I'm vaccinated. I can't, you know what I mean? Like it's not like when I'm running next to you in that split 1 second where you're going one way, I'm going the other way. I'm not going to pass COVID onto you. You know what I mean? But you make a really good point,
Yeah.
like dining out at restaurants and stuff. Even when people weren't able to get vaccinated, it was weird because you would keep your mask on until you took your mask off to eat. So it's like everyone has their mask off while they're eating. So it's like even if you did wear your mask in that like one moment, like before you sat down, you could still pass it on to people when your mask is off. So it's like super confusing and like annoying almost that they haven't made things a little bit more like black and white. Like I feel like we've been in this gray area for so long of like, okay, well, it's okay if you do this, but it's not okay if you do this. And it's socially not okay if you do this, not like from a legislative standpoint, but just like, you know what I mean? Like last summer, we saw a bunch of people go out for like Memorial Day and 4th of July. And that was way before like there were vaccines and stuff. And just people were partying. And now, because there's vaccines and people are vaccinated, I wonder if those types of parties and gatherings are going to be more socially acceptable or if they're going to cause a spike in cases. Like, I don't know, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that that's going to be the case, but I think we're not going to see the spike in cases that people think. I think we're going to see a spike in cases relative to where we're at right now, as far as, the amount of people that have COVID-19 or hospitalizations. So it's going to be like a relative spike, but it's not going to be like some, early spring or, post Thanksgiving spike.
Right. Yeah. And that totally makes sense. For me, what I'm most nervous about is like I do want to go to like, I want to go to a baseball game with my boyfriend or I want to go to like a concert with my friends and stuff. But is that like socially okay because I'm vaccinated? Like do you guys plan on like going out and doing more like social like big group like in a huge crowd like type of events?
Well, I mean, just personally, I don't do many things that are in large social events unless they're outside. You know what I mean? Like I go on runs pretty much by myself, and I still do a lot of the same activities that I've done my whole life, and that those all basically revolve around being outdoors. But yeah, like I don't really go to ball games. I don't go to parties generally. So I mean, for me at least personally, things are kind of moving along in a gradually normalizing pace. But I don't know about you, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm mostly tagging along with Walker on this one, just because my like group of friends is pretty small, and I don't usually like hang around with like large groups, or usually go to concerts. That's usually like dealing with huge crowds outside. But if it's like something that's inside for a party, I tend to go. But being vaccinated for like in for like huge crowds, I feel like just as long as like people still like keep their distance or like have their mask on, I feel like it would still be socially acceptable, just because that's been the normal before, when COVID struck in the beginning, of being just basically just socially distancing and keeping their mask on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not like this huge like go out and party person. Like I really haven't, been going out since COVID happened just because, I'm living at home with my parents. There's not, much action going on, you know what I mean? Even just with other people like, hanging out with their close group of friends and stuff. But for me, I was like, I'm not like a germaphobe type person. I've never been a germaphobe. I mean, I am in a in a way, just like everyone else is. Like, I feel like I'm getting sick, that's never good. I will take, medicine for it, whatever. But I've always been okay with like sharing water bottles doesn't bother me, or like, you know, holding someone's hand or giving someone a handshake. And now because of COVID, it's kind of made everyone like rethink their comfort levels. Like, have you like kind of had that like sort of change, Walker?
Well, like I have a slew of sort of things that are wrong with me, and so one of those is not necessarily germophobia, but I get, sort of obsessive about certain things, and I'm basically, I guess, what you would call a neat freak to an accelerated degree almost. So COVID-19 hasn't necessarily, like I said, accelerated anything about me. If anything, it's just made it socially acceptable to do things like use hand sanitizer obsessively, and
Yeah.
you know, um, during flu season, like not shake people's hands, and do laundry compulsively, and so for me, it's sort of normalized a lot of habits that I've already grown up with, and sort of adopted on my own course. For example, like in the early stages of quarantine, I got to stay indoors and not see anybody for 2 months. And I say got to as a purposeful thing because, or as an intentional word, because
Right.
I really enjoy doing that, and it's not socially acceptable a lot of the time. So it kind of was able to normalize my isolative tendencies, which was great. But right, like I'm still a social animal, so I kind of got over it. And now that things are starting to relax back into sort of the normal stream of life or and social activity, it's nice to see, I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even speaking more towards the social acceptability of things, um, it has been interesting to see how people take these sort of things because I have a really large family, and there's a lot of opinions that get thrown around, here and there.
Right.
So, I have the people that are super annoyed with the mask to the point of being not anti-mask, but like almost defiantly not wearing it.
Yeah.
I have the people that are, like me, kind of obsessive about the mask, but, I'll go on a run and I'll bring the mask with me, but I won't have it. Or like I'll go skate and like have the mask with me, but won't be wearing it the whole time.
Right.
And then I have the people kind of like, seemingly like you maybe that just kind of that wear it and that don't really think much about it. And so yeah, it's just been kind of interesting um seeing everyone else adapt to these whole social parameters that are just I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna dwindle away anytime soon though. I think we're gonna be wearing the mask for a while.
Yeah.
I
I
know
think
I
we
will
definitely
be.
will too.
I know I will be for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting now because, it's a normalized practice in Asian countries to wear masks during flu season and during, um, you
Okay.
know, that like if you're sick or if you're on public transport, like it's normalized to just like have your own mask and like even if nobody else is
Yeah.
wearing it because you're sick, you know what I mean? So I wonder if more people are going to, start doing that and adapt those like traits, or if once this all ends, people are going to be back to, sweaty frat basements drinking out of the same, bottle. You know what I mean? It's
I
like,
mean, that's going on already. Like I know a number of people and that I know personally that are just doing that all the time,
yeah,
It's
and
just
that's
kind of
crazy to me.
but
You know what I mean?
what's interesting about like the Asian you bring up Asian countries and Asian cultures, what they've done with the mask even before COVID, way before COVID, is they incorporate it into fashion.
Yeah,
You know, it's
totally.
it's a it's a it's a it's an item of clothing almost, and it's they like
It's like
living
an
in San Francisco
accessory.
especially. Yeah, what's that? Yeah, exactly. It's like an accessory. And I think that over here we've lagged behind that in making it an accessory more than just a utility item. You know what I mean? And I think people don't like it as a utility item
Right.
because we're so like weird about our idea of freedom and liberty, which is a confused notion already. And then, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they've incorporated into their idea of freedom and liberty in making it a fashion item. You know what I mean? So I think that that's been that was cool. That's kind of off topic, but yeah, I thought that I always thought that that was cool.
I could see it on the runway one day.
Kyle, has your comfort levels changed since COVID started?
I have a pretty funny one because I'm not sure if people do this, but for a person that wears sandals on occasion, and when I ever go outside or go to the beach, I tend to just when I head back home, I like wash my feet, just like how I wash my hands. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. That's something what I do.
My mom does that. That's actually funny. She calls it bird bath. She'll like take a bird bath and she'll like wash her feet and stuff. Only if she's wearing like sandals because I live in the desert and it's like hot. So usually we just wear flip flops because you'll get like really sweaty if you have a bunch of clothes on. You get what I mean? So that's
Yeah,
really funny that you do that.
it's become a normal now. So
Yeah, no,
I mean,
exactly.
from the,
It's really interesting that these traits that we all individually have are like normals to us, but to other people, it's become sort of like because of COVID, it's exacerbated to a form of like judgment. And I think that's kind of weird because you would think in a time like this when, there's people suffering, there's so many hardships, everyone has their own kind of like story of how COVID has taken them through. You would think that we would adapt and be a little bit more acceptable towards one another and be understanding and be empathetic. And it's kind of become a thing where it's like, oh, you wear a mask like you're a sheep. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, there's just a bunch of like weird judgments and stuff like that that kind of come alongside it, which is just I think is super interesting. And I wonder if that's gonna continue as like a new like normal after COVID of just like hyper awareness, hyper judgment.
Yeah. No. Well, that just goes back to sort of social values versus like, law and
Right.
policy, right? Like if you make something law and policy in this country, and maybe in any culture really, but especially in this country because of our idea of freedom and
Right.
being sort of, it's like a falsely misconstrued like individualism really is
It
what it is.
is. It totally is an
And so
individualism.
if you are infringing on that in any way, shape, or form, like we see that with everything, really. So anything that's legislation, anything that's policy, especially in a politically divisive time such as this, um, you're gonna have sort of, you know, what's it called, like blowback, and
Right.
that's what we're seeing right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Walker, I know you're transferring next fall, and wherever you transfer to, I know a lot of places are going to be back on campus. I'm not again sure if Mesa will be, but are you like comfortable and like ready to like fully make that transition to being on campus, getting COVID tests regularly, like doing the whole 9 yards?
Yeah, I am because one thing for me is that although I like kind of my own space and I like, feeling like I can just like control things. I really enjoyed being on campus throughout my entire time at Mesa, which was one of the highlights of my day was actually just going to school. And so when I go and transfer to, I'm pretty sure I'm going to this one school. So when I go there, I want to go there and have the whole experience, as as cliche as that may sound. So yeah, I'm fully ready for the COVID tests in class, out of class. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like I will wear the mask indoors for 8 hours a day. As long as I get to attend the university and fully soak in the whole experience. You know what I mean? Because I'm not shelling out a bunch of, you know, interest payments on loans for nothing. And I really want to, feel like I'm getting the whole experience. And the city I'm going to is an amazing city. I want to be able to experience it and you know, sort of have that under my belt is something in my life that I did.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to fully, like my friend, he went to Tufts for this whole year and it was his first semester and then the lockdown happened. And so he hasn't been able to experience like being at this amazing university.
Yeah, and
and
Tufts is expensive.
very expensive. And he's not, someone of means. He's had to take out exorbitant loans, and he's getting a tremendous amount of financial aid, which is unbelievable. But um, yeah, I want to be able to experience it. You know what I mean? Like the full experience. I don't care about masks. I don't care about how many vaccines or how many tests I have to take. It's all just worth it. I think for me.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but for me, that's what I'm thinking.
Kyle, how do you feel? Are you still going to be at Mesa in the fall, or are you transferring? Is this your last semester?
I'll still be staying. So yeah, so I'll miss you guys because they're both transferring out. But
um,
yeah, I have one more year then. So
Gotcha. Are you going to be taking, because I know some classes like this class will be on campus in the fall most likely. Are you like
mhm.
excited for that, or how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Since this is my first year being just in college in general, I'm pretty excited since I never really got that college experience before. So being on campus. Actually, the story that I did for the
Hmm.
athletes returning on campus, that was my first time being on campus actually.
Oh my gosh,
So,
no way.
uh,
Oh
but
wow.
I was pretty lost when I got there, so I didn't know where to go.
Yeah, Mesa, I got to experience my first semester at Mesa and then obviously a little bit of that spring semester. But Mesa's kind of big. I remember, I know this is off topic, but when I first got there, I was like, I don't know where anything is. This is a lot.
Yeah,
But I feel like that again goes kind of what with Walker was saying, like that's the experience that you kind of pay for, that you hope for, that you like remember. Like that's the reason why people go to college. I mean, college is so like normalized kind of for the social experience in the United States, anyways, and not really so much for the education. I mean, a bunch of people go to school not knowing what they want to do, not knowing what they want to pursue, but they go because they spend the money because they know, okay, I'm going to meet friends for life, or I'm going to go to these football games and have such a blast, you know? So I think that for me, I am excited to go back on campus, take the test for the masks. Mask for me isn't like a thing that I really think about. I know we were talking about this earlier, but I just kind of like put it on and wear it. You know what I mean? Like it's not like if they tell me to wear it, I'm gonna wear it. If I'm not gonna wear it, if they're like, oh, you don't have to do this anymore, I'm gonna be cautious, obviously, and still wear it outside. I still wear it like when I go to my sister's soccer games, even though we socially distance, whatever. But it's not really something that I'm like extremely cognitive about, if that makes sense. And it
Mhm.
is really interesting to see that some people really have taken that to heart. And I guess that goes again with our weird obsession with freedom in the United States.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, because summer is coming up, do you guys have any plans? Do you plan on, going on any vacations or just kind of staying home and doing the same thing as last summer?
Um,
Um,
for
Go ahead,
me,
Kyle.
I'm probably reconnect back with my friends since we've all been busy with college. So it's fine. I take like just take our time with it and reconnect with each other and see how we're all doing.
Totally. What about you, Walker?
I actually have kind of a busy summer planned, and I'm going to maybe a couple different countries, and so I'm just kind of I had to get like COVID insurance and all this stuff, and so it's a little nerve wracking. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't been on a plane in over a year, and that's not just because of COVID. I absolutely hate flying. I'm terrified of flying. It's one of my biggest fears. But I do it. I get on planes, but it's just terrifying for me.
Right.
I'm gonna be getting on a number of planes this summer. Actually, in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna go visit Boston.
Have
Um,
fun.
yeah, so that's gonna be cool. So I'm doing that. I'm gonna get on a plane for that. I'm gonna get on a plane and go to Costa Rica for a surf trip. I'm gonna go
Oh, my
to
friend just went to Costa Rica for a surf trip. That's funny.
Yeah, it's an amazing place, but it's one of those kind of just I don't know, being the obsessive compulsive I am, it's kind of one of those treacherous places for me in my mind, like, oh, germs and all this stuff and
Right.
viruses and all this stuff to get all this stuff figured out. But it's cool because I've been down to Central America plenty of times, but it's always one of those nerve-wracking experiences for me just to getting hyped up for it. I may go to I may go to Spain. I'm not even sure about that, but I may go to Spain. I'm not even trying to flex on everybody here, but
Yeah, I'm
um,
gonna say, geez.
it's just like it's just kind of one of those intimidating things. And then yeah, I'm gonna be driving out to Boston again come August. So yeah, it's gonna be a incredibly hectic and busy summer for me. I don't know how much I'm looking forward to it right now. It's kind of stressful, but um, yeah, I don't know. It's very stressful, and especially with the COVID stuff, getting on
Right.
airplanes is just gonna be a whole different level of generalized acute anxiety for me. So uh, yeah, right now I'm not looking forward to it, but when
You will
everything's
in the
said and done with,
moment.
who knows? But yeah, so honestly, being in my room, I can talk about COVID and all this stuff and be fine with it, but airplanes and confined places, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a whole different story. I was gonna say, like, I want to go to outside lands in October because, I'll probably be in San Francisco. That's a Golden Gate Park. I want to go to, I think like Rufus Du Sol is playing in LA in November. I want to go. Like, there's just like a bunch of
Yeah,
stuff. My boyfriend wants to go to a baseball game. I'm like, okay, let's go. But at the same time, I'm like, I want to make sure I'm being safe and I'm not like, getting anyone else sick and hurting anyone else. And you know what I mean? So I'm excited for it. I don't have any set plans, if you can't tell, but I want to travel and I want to go to these places. But at the same time, like my boyfriend wanted to take a trip to Mexico. He wanted to go to Cancun and all of these places. And I'm like, these places like don't have vaccines yet. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I would just feel like kind of wrong taking all of these like, I don't know, taking up resources, taking up space in places that are already suffering because of COVID. You know what I mean? So that's
yeah,
where I'm trying
I
to
know
like,
exactly what you mean.
yeah. So I'm trying to find like a good balance. Like, okay, maybe I wanted to go to Miami, but if you've seen what's been happening in Miami, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't go to Florida. I want to like
Yeah.
stay in the United States and obviously like go out and travel. But at the same time, I'm like, I just, want to be really safe about things and be conscious of others and their experience.
I know exactly what you mean. I
All
know
right.
exactly what
Well,
you
I
mean.
think we have covered it all about COVID restrictions, what we're looking forward to this summer, how we're feeling about masks, vaccinations, all of it. Thank you guys so much for listening. And I hope you enjoyed this episode of Something Newsy. Thank you.